Welcome to the video, guys. As most of you likely know, Sir Keir Starmer has won the Labour leadership contest, which should have been a surprise to absolutely no one. The other options were hardly likely to put up a fight. We had Lisa Nandy, the trans activist, and of course, Corbyn in a skirt, Rebecca Wrong Daily. So, to call it a contest is actually an insult. With The Guardian, along with every newspaper organisation, media outlet reporting on this today, saying Sir Keir Starmer, the former shadow Brexit secretary, has won a resounding victory in the Labour leadership contest. He got 56.2% of the first preference vote, beating Rebecca Long Bailey on 27.6% and Lisa Nandy on 16.2%, meaning he didn't just beat them, he absolutely annihilated them. A bit like the Conservative Party did to the Labour Party at the last election. Angela Rayner was elected deputy leader, with Rosanna Allen-Khan as runner-up, but a long way behind. The result marks a decisive break with the Jeremy Corbyn era, although Starmer was reluctant to criticise Corbyn to any significant extent during the leadership contest, and although he has committed to keeping the key elements of the 2019 Labour manifesto, his background and political outlook make him a very different sort of leader. Corbyn's enemies in the party have warmly welcomed the result, while Corbyn's supporters have urged Starmer not to abandon Corbyn's radicalism, which we don't need to see the full result. Sir Keir Starmer smashed it, and Angela Rayner also won the deputy leadership by a fair old distance. But it seems even before the announcement was made, the Prime Minister had already been offering Sir Keir Starmer a chance of a meeting so they can work together to deal with the current situation going on, which is rather funny in my opinion, because for the whole time this situation's occurred, Boris Johnson has not once asked Jeremy Corbyn to get involved, likely because of the same reasons you wouldn't let Jeremy Corbyn see the sensitive national security documents. You also wouldn't want him to see sensitive national emergency documents. Trusting a Marxist is obviously never a good idea, and Boris Johnson wasn't going to do it, but instantly calling Sir Keir Starmer in, now that he's the new leader of the Labour Party, to work together with them is yet another slap in the face for Jeremy Corbyn and his merry band of losers. The Corbynated chicken as the Labour leader was shunned by everyone, but of course the momentum and activist base that backed him, which obviously wasn't enough to get Corbyn in a skirt over the line, because obviously a lot of Labour Party CLPs, affiliates and of course the members have learnt their lessons from the last election and the absolute drumming that the Corbynistas earned the Labour Party. It says here, Johnson has now said in an open letter to opposition party leaders that all parties have a duty to work together at this moment of national emergency. But in his victory speech, Starmer said that working constructively with the government would not mean avoiding being critical when that was deserved, which is kind of obvious, but it's also very telling that Boris Johnson decided to say that today once the Corbynated chicken was out the door. Because of course, Boris Johnson and the current government obviously don't trust him, much like the people of this country. But something that was funny popped up, and that was old Jess Phillips. You know, the one who was running around saying that men should step aside so a woman can win. Likely because she knows these women that were put forward for the leadership weren't up to the task, and everyone, including the Labour Party members and affiliates, knew this as much as we did. Hence why Sir Keir Starmer was obviously their only choice, and something we knew was going to happen from the start of this nonsensically long leadership campaign. But it says here, the Labour MP Jess Phillips, who stood for the Labour leadership herself before withdrawing when it became clear that she would not get enough CLP or union nominations to get onto the final ballot, has just told Sky News that if Sir Keir Starmer offers her a post in the shadow cabinet, she will probably accept it. Which is quite funny considering she said that men should step down, and obviously he didn't and continued on to win. Now she wants to serve under the man. Now there is obviously another problem for the Corbynistas left within the Labour Party. They are all, including Momentum, now terrified of being kicked back into the fringes where they belong. With this article coming out of Labour earlier on the Labour List website, Corbyn Skeptics sweep the board in Labour's ruling body's by-elections, so the Labour Party's NEC, or National Executive Committee, which will give Sir Keir Starmer the power to actually make changes. Because if Corbynistas had kept hold of the National Executive Committee, then making the changes to get rid of Corbynism might have been very difficult. Though, to be honest, I don't think it's going to make much difference. I think Labour have sunk themselves for at least a generation. Corbyn Skeptics, backed by Progress and Labour First groups, have swept the board in the Labour Party's ruling National Executive Committee by-election. Joanna Baxter and Gurinder Singh Josan have been chosen to replace Corbynites Nabendu Marisha and Claudia Webb as local party representatives on the NEC. Carol Sewell has been elected by Labour members as the new NEC BAME rep and will replace former MP Keith Vaz, who recently stepped down. In another huge victory for Corbyn Skeptics today, all three candidates were endorsed by Blairite group Progress and old right organisation Labour First, which goes to show how bad the Labour Party is when the best of a bad bunch is a Blairite organisation, especially given the shit show that he was. Though, I suppose in his defence, at least he did win an election, which is something the Labour Party haven't been able to do since, and for good reason. And here's the result there no one actually cares about, which then leads on obviously to the Momentum activists begging Sir Keir Starmer not to purge Corbynites from the shadow cabinet, because if they're gone out of there, then Corbyn's dreams are up in smoke where they belong. And obviously, Starmer might do it because he thinks that might bring people back to the party, forgetting of course this arsehole is the arch Remainer and a complete snivelling shitweasel, much like most of the Labour Party MPs. So I highly doubt their former voters will be coming back anytime soon, if ever. And especially not in great numbers. Momentum, the Labour organisation for Jeremy Corbyn supporters, has put out a statement saying that it intends to hold Starmer to account and that he should appoint a broad shadow cabinet, i.e. one that includes members of the Corbynite left. A Momentum spokesman said. Well, they don't really need to include Corbynite left because Sir Keir Starmer himself is already a left-wing socialist, so they don't need to worry there. They just obviously want Corbynista hard-left lunatics. That's what they really want. A Momentum spokesman said, in 4.5 years, Jeremy Corbyn and the movement around him has changed our party and country for the better. Giving a voice of hope to millions who felt unrepresented in politics. I'd love to see how he's changed the country for the better. We've all seen what his kinda gentler politics have done, and let me tell you, it hasn't been for the better. Austerity as a political project has been defeated, and the dark days when Labour cheered on privatisation, pursued illegal wars and demonised migrants are long gone. Oh, no they ain't. It's just simply that the Labour Party are not in government, so lack the means to be able to do any of this. And obviously, the Labour Party will never demonise migrants because they want them to vote for them. That's their plan, to get them back into office. Allow all immigrants, regardless of status, the ability to vote while throwing money at them. You know, the usual bribes the Labour Party are known for. Our membership has tripled in size, we have doubled the number of socialist MPs, and our party brims with ideas and visions for a socialist future. Yes, you complete idiots, you also lost the last election by the greatest margin in 85 years, so I would say everything that you've done there has been detrimental to the Labour Party. And as for your membership tripling in size, something has to be noted here. Only 58% of members voted in the leadership election. So, most of your members are actually, by the looks of it, rather disillusioned with your party and can't even be bothered to vote for the next loser to lead them. Keir has pledged support for most of the programme, which will ultimately only help his downfall if he sticks to these policies, though even if he doesn't, I can't see him winning an election anyway. Including the public ownership of rail, mail, energy and water, a Green New Deal, kicking the privatisers out of the NHS, scrapping tuition fees, closing down detention centres and taxing the top 5%. So most of those things there have already lost him a lot of the voters that left them in the 2019 election. His mandate is to build on Jeremy's transformative vision, and this means appointing a broad shadow cabinet who believe in the policies and will work with members to make them a reality. And that just goes to show how really delusional the Momentum activists are. His mandate is to build on Jeremy's transformative vision. No, it actually isn't. His mandate is to try and get the Labour Party elected, not to build on anyone's vision. That goes to show you really don't understand how politics works. And you prove it yet again by saying he needs a broad shadow cabinet who believe in policies and will work with members to make them a reality. You do realise the shadow cabinet can't do shit. It is essentially a pointless role. I don't know if they realised, but the Conservative Party has like an 80-seat majority. The shadow cabinet doesn't have any power to do anything, let alone make policies a reality. In this new era, Momentum will play a new role. Yeah, probably none at all. We'll hold Keir to account and make sure he keeps his promises. Champions big ideas like the Green New Deal, builds the power of Labour members, and do everything we can to get a Labour government elected. Well, the best thing you can do if you want a Labour government elected is disband your shit show of an organisation and kick the snivelling shitweasels who are part of it out of the Labour Party. Though, I still don't think that's gonna help you, let's be honest. So, it is time to say goodbye to the Corbynated chicken. Personally, I think it's a shame he was going. I would have loved to see him drive the Labour Party further into the ground. Though, the snivelling shitweasel you see on the screen next to him is more than capable of doing that. Remember, this is the guy that wanted to push for a second referendum to remain in the European Union. He is part of the reason why the Labour Party adopted that stance. He was the Brexit secretary after all. But the upside of it is, the Momentum activists are now absolutely shitting themselves, which, I gotta say, I do love, and the comedy from Jess Phillips continues, as you would expect, saying she wants a role in the shadow cabinet. Can you imagine that disaster as a shadow cabinet minister? Every time she gets up to speak, it will be pure gold, so maybe we will have that to look forward to. Though it would be a mistake on Labour's part, because of course, she's an incompetent idiot. Now before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.